What's good, YouTube? Today we're showcasing Red Eye's Black Dragon.
Red Eyes, welcome back.
In addition to Red Eyes, we do have the Dark Magician as part of the Dragoon package. We also have his upgraded version, Red Eye's Darkness Metal Dragon.
Now my Red Eyes Black Dragon is a Red Eyes Black Metal Dragon. And that makes him strong enough to withstand your attack. Red Eyes, counterattack, flash, flare, blast!
So you do have to run these two monsters for Dragoon. However, if you don't use Dragoon, you can cut all those. However, we do have a few other Red Eyes cards. Red Eyes Wyvern is pretty cool. You could discard it, and then on your opponent's turn, you could revive your Darkness Metal and equip one of their monsters with Red Eyes Finger Chain. And of course, we have the most important of those cards, the Black Metal. It'll search out all of your Red Eyes cards, so definitely want to max out on those.
But that dragon should be blown to bits. This ain't right.
Oh, it's right. It made my Red Eyes 600 attack points stronger.
That's it for the Red Eyes package. So for the duration of the video, I'll say Red Eyes Black Dragon right there. And we do have 3 copies of Dragunity Knight Romulus. Remus. It's downgraded version. You discard the Remus in order to add a Dragon Ravine from your deck to your hand. And then you could use that Dragon Ravine in order to add a Dragunity Legatus. So you want to max out on this because it's your starter. The Legatus is important because once you control the Dragon Ravine and Legatus, you could also summon up your Remus from the graveyard too, in order to create a level 6 Synchro. And then once you summoned the Synchro, you could then summon another extender off its effect, turn them both into Romulus, and search out your Dragunity Glow, which will search out your Dragunity Armo Mistletoe. So you do need all these cards as a bare minimum package. Your Armo Mistletoe will re-equip the Gaydurg and then resummon that, so you could get more Wing Beast extenders. And speaking of extenders, this is one of them, the Black Winged Zephyros Elite. This is the one that you want to start off with because it bounces back your field spell, so it gives you a free card. However, if for whatever reason you have to go into your Romulus to search out your Ravine instead, then you want to go for Baby Rock. It's a great extender. It also turns your Gaydurg into level 8s, and if it's discarded at the last effect for a Gaydurg, it won't miss the timing, so you definitely want to have at least 1 copy. I like 2 though because I make a lot of level 8 synchros. We do have 1 copy of DD Crow, definitely searchable through your Gaydurg, so you want to have access to it at the very end of your combo. Moving on to the Rocket Engine, we do have 2 copies of Absolute Dragon, so this card is insane. You mill it, discard it, or you can special summon it via its effect. Whenever it goes to the graveyard, you get to add any of your rocket monsters from your deck to your hand. So I do have 2 copies of Rocket Tracer because this counts as 2 rockets thanks to its effect. And then we do have 1 Rocket Synchron. Similarly, it could summon out a level 7 dark monster from your graveyard. However, you're usually just special summoning it off of your Tracer in order to turn your level 8 Chaos Ruler into a Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. And then we do have 1 copy of Rocket Recharger. It's very important in the deck because if you control Pisty as well as Striker Dragon, you can use Striker to pop the Pisty in order to re-add your Recharger from your graveyard to your hand. Then because you destroyed an extra deck Dark Dragon, you could discard this to summon any Dark Dragon from your graveyard. So I like to revive my Black Metal Dragon with that, or sometimes the Dragon Maid card. And then we do have a little Chaos Engine package. We have 1 copy of White Dragon River Burster and 1 copy of Black Dragon Collapse Serpent. So these cards are both good to draw, however, you usually search them with Chaos Space. And you could also search it with Gaydurg as well. So it's very useful to have these 2 extenders. Plus with the Chaos Space, it gives you a free draw as well as a free body because you end up returning them to the main deck. So, and then re-adding them every time they go to the graveyard. And then now we also have 1 copy of Chamber Dragon Maid. So this card's going to get reprinted in Maximum Gold El Diablo. This card is pretty powerful. It gets to search out your trap cards, Dragon Maid Tiding, which is another form of interruption against your opponent. You could bounce any of your dragons to your hand in order to bounce one card your opponent controls. It could be a spell or trap or monster. And then every time this card is summoned, you get that trap card from your deck to your hand. And the trap card, you could banish it in order to summon this from the graveyard. So it's just very powerful in general. And then we do have one copy of Amorphage Sloth. This is the card that you're going to summon off of Hieratic Seal. It locks your opponent out of the extra deck. That's all you need to know about that. And then we do have 3 copies of Chaos Space. So Chaos Space is a great card to mill, or if you open it, you could activate it, sending any of your dark dragons, because this is primarily dark, in order to add your White Dragon River Burster. However, it's just a great card in general. If it's set to the graveyard from the Chaos Ruler, you could always use its effect to draw a free card, so why not use 3? And we have 3 copies of Quick Launch. Similarly, it's not a hard once per turn. It's not even a once per turn. You could actually activate all 3 of them. Get out 3 different rockets from your deck. So yeah, you definitely want to use 3 copies, just because it becomes a Tracer, and Tracer could become a level 8 Synchro, so why not 1 card, right? And then we do have 3 copies of World Legacy Guard Dragon. This card is phenomenal with Black Metal Dragon. It allows you to turn your Pisty live without having to like overextend into other dragons, you know, to get all the arrows pointed out perfectly. So it's just very useful in general. But yeah, you could return your Dragon Maid or your Black Metal Dragon and just extend. So yeah, it's definitely one of the more powerful extensions. We do have 1 copy of Terraforming. It allows you to search out any of your field spells, such as your Boot Sector Launch, but you're probably going to be searching this through Striker Dragon. So the card that you're actually going to be adding are your Dragon Ravines. So this card acts just like the Remus. It is your starter. However, Remus is a 1.5 card combo. This is a 2.5 card combo, mainly because you discard a card in order to add the Remus in order to add the Dragon Ravine. So yeah, you definitely want more than 1 copy of that. And then we do have 1 copy of Dragunity Glow. So this card allows you to add your Mistletoe from your deck to your hand, and then you contribute any of your Dragunity monsters in order to summon a Mistletoe, in order to re-equip the Gay Dirge from your graveyard. And then you could banish this from your graveyard to summon that Gay Dirge. And then Gay Dirge is amazing, which I'll talk about in a minute. We do have 1 copy of Red Eyes Fusion, completely optional, but if your combo does get interrupted, you could always sit on the Dragoon, so why not? And then we do have 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More. It's pretty generic, but it's also extremely powerful. It could break almost any board, so you might as well use it. And then we do have 1 copy of Called by the Grave, budget version of, what's that overpriced card called? Crossout Designator. And then we do have 3 copies of Dragon Maid Tidying. So this card is extremely powerful to mill or discard from your Ravine, because once you get your Chamber Dragon Maid in the graveyard, you banish it in order to summon that chamber. So it's just a great card in general. You definitely want to have at least 2 copies, but I think 3 is perfect, so your deck has more life. And we do have 1 copy of Red Eyes Fang with Chain. So this is one of the last cards you're going to add with Black Metal Dragon, but it is pretty cool to have that option as an interruption, just in case you can't go into your Dragon Maid, or if you have a really insane hand. You could also equip a monster to your Red Eyes Dragoon.
Now old Red Eyes gets a 300-point boost. Plus, whenever he attacks a monster, he absorbs half its strength. No, Dark Magician, attack! Red Eyes! Help him out, pal!
And then moving on to the extra deck, we do have 1 copy of Guard Dragon Pisty, the last of the Guard Dragons, and then 1 copy of Striker Dragon. So Guard Dragon Pisty, you're going to wait in the combo to summon it, usually way later. But Striker is the one you're going to be starting off with. It allows you to add your Boot Sector Launch from your deck to your hand. Sometimes you just use that as a discard. Sometimes you use it as an extender. And thanks to your Gay Dirge, you could actually add some rockets to your hand in order to make that Boot Sector Launch live. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And then we do have 2 copies of Hieratic Seal of Heavenly Spheres. This card is the most important card to end on every turn. It basically allows you to return one of your opponent's cards to their hand. So again, it could be a spell or trap. You return one of their cards to the hand, and then you summon a dragon from your deck for free if you tributed this. Sometimes you even go into 2, so you could actually tribute the one that's underneath Hieratic Seal on your extra main zone in order to do that same thing. But you'll have an extra Hieratic Seal for the following turn. So that's why I use 2, just because sometimes you get Nibiru'd. So you never know. And then we do have 1 copy of Dragunity Knight Romulus. So this card searches out the field spell or the new Dragunity Glow. So I prefer to search out the Glow, but if you have to search out the field spell, then you do have that option, and you could still end on a Gay Dirk despite not being able to go into your Exceed lineup. And then we do have one copy of Predaplant Verte Anaconda. So this allows your combo to end on a Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. It can't be ashed, so it's pretty cool. Moving on to Synchros, we have the MVP of the deck. It is Dragunity Knight Gay Dirk. So this card allows you to add any of your winged beasts or your dragons from your deck to your hand. It's absolutely insane. It's not a hard once per turn. Every time it's summoned, you get to do that, and then you could discard any dragon or winged beast. So yeah, you get to add, as long as it's level 4 or lower, you could add your Chaos Dragons, your Baby Rock, your Black Metal Dragon, you name it. Then we do have one copy of Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. So this card could be made very easily thanks to Gay Dirk, discarding a Baby Rock. And then you could stop Nibiru or whatever monster effects. So yeah, it's definitely very powerful. I'll set that right there. We do have one copy of Warlord Savage Dragon. This is the card that you always want to end on, just like Hieratic Seal. It's very generic, and it could stop anything, monster, magic, or trap. Otherwise, I'd recommend Crystal Wing, but sometimes you end on 2 level 8s, so that's why you want both. And then we do have one copy of Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon. So this card allows you to mill the top 5 cards of your deck and add any light or dark card. It could be a hand trap, for example, DD Crow, or you could add some of your extensions. It's pretty powerful, but mainly you want to use it because it allows you to use that level 1 to go into your Hot Red Dragon Archfiend. So this card can actually stop Dark Ruler no more. As long as you have a Dragon Maid Tiding on your side of the field, you could return one of your opponent's cards from their graveyard or field to their hand, and then you could chain your Hot Red Dragon Archfiend to that and negate a Dark Ruler no more. So you might as well have the option to do that. And moving on to the Exceed monsters, we do have one copy of Cyber Dragon Nova, just in case you do play against Dogmatica. You could send this to the graveyard in order to summon a Mecha Buff as an extra negate. But the more important card is Hieratic Dragon King of Atum. So when you do your full combo with Remus or the Dragunity Ravine, you get to actually go into a rank 6 Atum, and that basically becomes an Elpy. You could summon any dragon from your deck. The one I prefer is probably Absolrouter. Is actually pretty powerful because that is level 7. It's not accessible for Gay Dirk, and it's also a light too, so you can banish it for your Chaos monsters. And then we do have 2 fusion monsters. There's the Mechaba as an extra negate if you're playing against Dogmatica, and we do have one copy of Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. So this is mostly a Dark Magician card, I hate to say, but it does work in Red Eyes. Since you already have the Red Eyes Black Dragon in your deck, you might as well use it. And it is pretty powerful. When it's summoned, you get to pop 2 monsters and inflict damage equal to their total and attack. So it could be an OTK right there. It's also free to destruction as well as targeting effects, and it could also negate the cost of a discard. So that last effect is probably the weaker because there's monsters that do that for free, but the fact that it has all of that wrapped in, plus it gains 1,000, it's absolutely insane. So you might as well use it if you can. And moving on to the side deck, we do have 3 copies of Contact C. So this card is pretty powerful against dragons or against Tri-Brigade or against a lot of decks. Basically, you want to wait for them to be locked into a specific monster type. Then you summon this on your side of the field. They won't be able to fusion, link, exceed. Basically, they won't be able to summon from their extra deck unless they use this insect as material. So a lot of decks are locked into beast or dragon or whatever, and they won't be able to summon anything once you play that. So it's very powerful to have that option too. And then we do have 3 copies of Gadarla, the Mystery Dust Kaiju. So this card is pretty good as well, but mainly I have it because it's wind. You can tribute over the barrier statue of the Storm Winds, so that way you can play against specific Tri-Brigade decks. But yeah, it is a Kaiju. And then we do have 3 copies of Artifact Lancia. So this card is a light hand trap, so it is searchable through your Chaos Ruler. But it's also pretty good in general. It can stop out, cross out Designator, as well as most strategies nowadays, they require banishing. You could also main deck it. And then finally, we do have 1 copy of Koikimaru Draco. So this card is a good substitute for your Amorphage, Goliath, or Sloth. It pretty much allows you to stop your opponent from summoning any light or dark dragons once it hits the field. It does hurt you as well, but because you're making your full board first, that's probably not going to affect you too much. And then finally, we do have a few cards to stop back row decks. We have one copy of Harpy's Feather Duster and one copy of Red Reboot. You might as well use Harpy Feather Duster since it came off the ban list. And then we do have 3 copies of Evenly Matched. So Evenly Matched is good against back row decks. It's also good against monsters. It's actually really powerful. Underrated card, but yeah, I definitely recommend it in almost every deck. It's just insane not to use that. Alright guys, thank you so much. Happy dueling. Goodbye.
It's Red Eye's Black Dragon! Where did that come from?
If you recall, you used your Flute of Summoning Dragon to summon your Blue Eyes to the field. But you may have forgotten that your flute works on my hand as well. So I owe you a thank you for bringing out this card, which is a gift from a very close friend of mine, Kaiba.